and they kind of just port that on. Yes, I'm still talking about Vader Immortal. You get hands to control. I guess you just look like whatever you imagine yourself to look like. I'm guessing you're playing human because your ancestor's human, and yeah. There's no question about that or anything. There's not like a curated character. I know what you're gonna say. Well, you don't see yourself. Yes, yes. There's ways you can make that work. Whatever. It didn't. It didn't matter. I don't care. It was a fun game overall. Certain points you get a lightsaber, you get to use it. You use different force power. You get to use mostly force move, force push, force block, shit like that. Can't pick up a stormtrooper and bounce him off your other enemies or anything. But again, the control's not perfect with holding people and shit. But you can do that. Usually I just kind of bounce over people and knock them into walls and just knock them out that way or throw them into shit. Because again, you're on Mustafar, so yeah. Whole thing is on fire and shit. But you're in Vader's castle, so you don't have to worry about it too much. You're not like having to do that fight between Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi or anything where you're on the skiffs. That would have been fucked up. Trying to do that. The control's not quite there yet, but it was still pretty good. They don't have it set to movement like Bethesda did with Skyrim, where you could switch it from teleport to move, and you just move your arms, so it felt more immersive. It is still one of those, point the little circular thing here, and that's where you go. Boom, 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 boom. And PlayStation, instead of fixing things, decided to put in some more bullshit at certain points. Not getting into that again. But you can still block. You can still block everything, but you got to do that pattern. And there's a point where you get like the remotes when they fly around and shit. And I'm saying why Luke was having a pain in the ass with those things. They're not hard. You can get them after a minute, figure out the patterns, and knock the blast back at them. You can't move at them and attack, which is unfortunate, but whatever. You have to deflect their laser blast at them and shit. If you're a good ping pong player, you'll be fine. Or if you're good at tennis and shit. And you have different blocks they will show you. They have like a little tutorial on how the blocks work and shit. But it's basically a Lucasfilms type game. Where they do have the little puzzles and shit. They're not complicated as some Lucasfilm games, because again, it's a VR game, which isn't done completely understanding the whole thing. And there have been some VR games within the PlayStation system itself that have had pretty decent control with the move system. This is not one of them, but it's not the worst, to be honest. It's decent. It's kind of that middle ground. The movement's close to what you want it to do, but it's not going to be perfect. Like, I had a hell of a time throwing the rocks at the Rancor at one point. And then at one point, you and whatever she's called, the big mage chick who's helping you with your ancestors, who's a leader of these people, and gives you an army that you have to give the army control to her so you can fight Vader one-on-one when the army fights the, what the fuck are they called? Stormtroopers. Anyway. Or you're fighting the Rancor and you're supposed to like hit him with rocks and shit, and then pick this one big stalagmite that looks like a fucking spear and shove it through the heart of the Rancor. Took a minute because it is kind of hard to do. I don't think you can die in this game. You can die in the practice things. I don't understand how that works, why you can die in the practice, but you can't die in the main game. But it's still pretty fun because I haven't had a you died restart point. And my character got the living crap beat out of him, so just fine. And Zoe appears a lot in the game, as does one or two other companions you get. You get this one woman that, for whatever reason, Zoe keeps calling him Bug Eyes, I guess because of her goggles. The voice was female, so I'm assuming they were female. And if I'm wrong, sorry. You get this other dude who betrays you because he thinks Vader will just take the thing on left, and of course, no, Vader's just going to kill him anyway and destroy this planet to get what he wants because he's trying to bring back Padme and everything, which is not going to work. But of course, you don't totally destroy Vader. You just stop him from doing what he's doing, and he escapes, and you blow up his little castle here on Mustafar. And it works, whatever. Any rate, I think you're on Mustafar. It looks like Mustafar. Maybe it's something else. Because, yeah, this eventually Vader has to live, because otherwise he can't get redeemed by Luke so he can destroy the Emperor. Yes, the Emperor died there. I'm saying the clone was in those last... in Rise of Skywalker, because, no, that was not Skywalker. But whatever, you know. Mandalorian came out, everything's cool again. Overall, pretty good game. It wasn't perfect by any imagination, but it wasn't awful. I mean, it was a very good, fun little game to play. Right now, it's only like $20. Price will probably go up again. You do get to do a lot of cool things, and you do get to fight Vader, though Vader's not as tall as I would suspect. I'm 6 foot, and I'm like coming up to here on Vader. If I look at Vader in the movies, Vader's a lot bigger than that, so, you know, I was expecting him to be taller, but whatever. And that's for my eye line, so it's not like the top of my head is everything, because I don't know what the top of my head is. So I'm like looking for my eye line is hitting his cheekbone, so it's only like a bit taller than me. But yeah, you see from your eye, yeah, you know. So I was expecting him to look taller in the game. But no, I'm still fine, he's still pretty badass. I think we're trying to make him look really scary. I don't know, maybe if you're 10 it would work. But when I was 10 I saw an actual actor who was in that fucking thing. This dude was huge. So yeah, that may have been a thing then, but now it's just kind of like, oh, okay, cool, Vader. And whatnot, and it worked well enough. It was fun, but it wasn't exactly, you know, as well as it could have been for Vader to be scary, but he's pretty good. I mean, he wasn't Rogue One fucking scary. It wasn't a scary Rogue One movie. He looked like a badass there. Didn't have that badassness here. He was still pretty cool and definitely a worthy opponent, and it was Vader. You could typically feel it as Vader. It's not like some other things where they totally screwed up a character, like Last Jedi totally fucked up Luke. This did not fuck up Vader. Vader, Lucasfilms has not fucked up yet. We'll see though. Anyway, overall, fun game. Get it if you get a chance.